And it looked like JuJu Watkins is currently going viral for saying some things about Caitlin Clark.
It seems JuJu Watkins is trending online due to some remarks she made about Caitlin Clark. JuJu Watkins, USC's rising phenom, participated in a recent interview with Sports Illustrated. In it, she was prompted to select her favorite attributes from different players' skill sets. A simple and fun prompt, wouldn't you say? Now, before we explore the specifics, I have a question for you. In your opinion, who has navigated fame more effectively, Caitlin Clark or JuJu Watkins? Consider it and post your answer below. However, the situation became notable when Caitlin Clark's name was introduced.
Speed. Probably Enrique. Accuracy. Probably Caitlin. Handles. Chelsea. Strength. Breeding grind. Range. Caitlin. Clutch. I'll probably go Asia.
JuJu stated probably Caitlin's handles, her clutch factor too. That was it, concise, assured, and to the point. She refrained from lengthy praise for Caitlin, contrary to some expectation. Instead, she made her statement and promptly moved on to name other players like Chelsea Gray, Aja Wilson, and Arike Ogunbowale.
Or maybe day before yesterday, I don't know. I came across this post. Shout out to Krista over on Twitter who shared this, and this is what she had to say.
Now, this is where the controversy began. Internet fans immediately began to dissect her tone, body language, and even her pauses. Some argued she was giving Caitlin credit in a respectful manner. Others felt like she was subtly diminishing her. And you understand how social media operates. A single 5-second video spiraled into hours of discussion. Suddenly, it was as if JuJu had announced a new rivalry, but that is not what transpired.
These people to try to make these battles between like Paige and Caitlin, Paige and JuJu. Guys, we got to separate the basketball from the person. Similarly like YouTube, you got to separate the content from the person. Just because somebody does something a certain way or do something a certain way on the basketball court or in their profession, don't make them a bad person.
What JuJu did was tactical. She avoided overpraising Caitlin as she doesn't want to be perceived as just another young player in her shadow. She is forging her own identity. That is the mark of a confident athlete. Just think, JuJu is no stranger to fame. She's been a public figure since her high school days. Cameras followed her at Sierra Canyon. She is represented by Clutch Sports, the agency that also represents LeBron James. She holds Nike endorsements, gets major press, and has fans dubbing her the future of the WNBA. She has no need to leverage Caitlin's name for attention. She's already established her own platform. Now Caitlin Clark remains the most prominent name in women's basketball today, without a doubt, as she enters her second year as a pro. Even with the fever struggles, the league's focus still centers on her. That is the tier she occupies. So when JuJu casually references Caitlin's clutch skill and continues on, it's not a slight, it is balance. She's acknowledging, yes, Caitlin is phenomenal, but so am I.
There's a lot of players in the country playing Division I basketball. Nobody scored more points in one game this year than you. That's the most.
That's crazy. Yeah. More to come for sure.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark who?
Nah, don't do that.
Okay.
Don't do that. Much respect there.
And here's a detail many people overlook. JuJu and Caitlin share many similarities in their demeanor. Both are passionate about the game. Both command huge fan bases, and both face relentless comparisons and critiques, but they manage it differently. Caitlin remains quiet and focused. JuJu is more candid, self-assured, and expressive. This is what makes her distinctive. Let's now discuss the online reaction. After the clip surfaced, X, formerly Twitter, erupted. One camp claimed JuJu handled it with class. She gave Caitlin her due respect. The opposing side said it was shade, clear as day. Users began posting side-by-side clips of Caitlin and JuJu, comparing everything from highlights and interviews to their post-game demeanors. The conversation was intense, and it points to something larger. People are eager for a new rivalry. They desire a new showdown like Caitlin versus Angel Reese or Caitlin versus Paige Bueckers. JuJu, however, is not indulging them. She isn't aiming to be the next Caitlin Clark. She is aiming to be the first JuJu Watkins. That is what makes her even more compelling. Now let's briefly touch on JuJu's journey. She is recovering from a major ACL injury that might have derailed many players' careers, but not hers. Despite months away from the court, she continues to be a trending topic. She's still securing brand partnerships. She's still part of the conversation. That speaks volumes. And what's remarkable is this: even while injured, JuJu exudes confidence. She isn't afraid to voice her opinions. She isn't concerned with how fans will react. She has a firm grasp of who she is and the value she provides. That is the reason this interview resonated so strongly online, because she was unfiltered. She didn't attempt to say what she thought people wanted to hear. She gave an honest answer, as a future star should. Let's now consider the wider context. The women's game is evolving. We are now in an era where athletes are permitted to be vocal, marketable, and confident, not simply skilled at basketball. Caitlin Clark was a catalyst for that shift. Now players like JuJu are advancing it in their unique ways. A decade ago, women's basketball didn't receive this level of discussion. There weren't viral highlight reels, debate shows analyzing players, or fans clashing online over interviews. But today, every word garners attention, and this attention signifies growth. So regardless of whether people see JuJu's comments as respectful or competitive, it's beneficial for the sport. It sustains the conversation. It keeps the focus firmly on women's basketball. But here is an element many fans overlook. If you observe JuJu's expression in the clip, you see confidence, not conceit. She is focused. She understands her own talent and isn't hesitant to let it show. And that is a quality all great athletes possess. Caitlin Clark has it. Paige Bueckers has it. A'ja Wilson has it. JuJu Watkins most certainly has it. And we should remember, JuJu is just beginning her journey. She is still a college athlete. Once she is fully recovered and back on the court, the hype surrounding her will intensify. Every one of her games will be scrutinized. Every one of her moves will be compared to the pros. And if she meets those expectations, that's when the substantive discussion starts. Because as much as some might want to deny it, JuJu possesses the potential to rival Caitlin Clark's popularity down the line. She has the talent, the charisma, and the brand appeal to achieve it. This isn't a matter of rivalry, it's a matter of legacy. Caitlin established a foundation, and JuJu is the next major talent poised to build upon it. But here is the amusing aspect. Fans enjoy turning everything into a who is better contest. Rather than appreciating both, they crave a confrontation. So now, from one simple comment, we are back to JuJu versus Caitlin. And you know something? That is perfectly fine, because that is what maintains the sport's excitement. Now, before we transition to part 2, here is a point to consider. JuJu said nothing disrespectful. She did not insult Caitlin. She just kept her response brief and self-assured. Yet in our current culture, confidence is frequently misinterpreted as attitude, particularly when it comes from young female athletes. And perhaps that is why JuJu's interview landed differently. She was not aiming to be polite, she was being authentic, and that is something fans may not be accustomed to seeing. Now that we have analyzed what JuJu said and the internet's reaction, let's discuss why this event is significant. Not only for JuJu and Caitlin, but for the entire landscape of women's basketball. Because the reality is this: JuJu didn't only make a comment, she delivered a statement on how the new generation of stars conducts itself. The days of young players staying quiet and awaiting their turn are over. JuJu is saying, my turn is beginning now. And frankly, she is correct. Caitlin Clark shattered barriers, drew in unprecedented viewership, and compelled sports media to finally give due attention. But now, that spotlight is not exclusive to a single player. It is expanding, and JuJu understands how to command it. We must not forget, prior to her injury, JuJu was posting incredible stats for USC. She was delivering 30-point performances as a freshman. Her court awareness, footwork, and self-assurance brought to mind comparisons to Kobe Bryant. And that is not hyperbole. Even LeBron has praised her ability. So when she speaks on Caitlin's clutch performance and handles, it is not animosity. It's recognition from one future great to another. But JuJu is not satisfied with being known as the next Caitlin Clark. She aims to be known as JuJu Watkins, the leader of the next generation. Now, a key reason this situation became so big is that fans perpetually seek out rivalries. That's the nature of sports. Magic had Bird, MJ had Isaiah, Kobe had LeBron, and now fans are attempting to manufacture Caitlin Clark versus JuJu Watkins. But here is the interesting thing. JuJu has never indicated she wants that. She is simply being herself, and the buzz naturally follows her. Now, I have noticed some fans online suggesting Caitlin Clark likely feels disrespected by JuJu's tone. I would argue otherwise. Caitlin has endured enough interviews, viral moments, and scrutiny this past year to grasp what is happening. She is aware that a short quote can ignite a firestorm. And frankly, Caitlin might even appreciate JuJu's boldness. Caitlin entered the WNBA as a trailblazer herself, shattering records, creating headlines, and inadvertently challenging norms. So observing someone like JuJu follow a similar path probably reminds her of her own journey a few years prior. Let's now address the current climate of women's basketball, as it clarifies why every word is magnified to this extent. At present, the women's game has achieved mainstream status. ESPN provides coverage on par with the NBA. People analyze stats, highlights, and rivalries just as they do with male players. However, this brings added pressure. Every comment, quote, and facial expression is dissected like a political declaration. When JuJu said Caitlin's handles and clutch, she couldn't have known it would create such a stir. She was merely answering a question truthfully. But since she is JuJu Watkins, an elite player with millions watching, everything is amplified. And that is precisely what Caitlin has faced for 2 consecutive years. Each time Caitlin speaks, even the most innocuous quote gets distorted. So, in a sense, JuJu is getting her initial experience of what it's like to be the face of the sport. And this could be a training ground for what lies ahead. Now here is a point that isn't being discussed enough. JuJu's poise. Even as the video went viral, she remained silent. No lengthy posts, no follow-up statements, no retraction. She simply stayed quiet and allowed the conversation to unfold. That is veteran-like conduct. Meanwhile, Caitlin's name continues to be central, even when she is not the one speaking. That is the influence only true superstars possess, when you don't have to say a thing for people to include you in the narrative. And that is what is occurring here. Let's now examine the media's role in this. You have sports outlets framing the clip as JuJu calls out Caitlin Clark. Then you have fan accounts stating JuJu gives Caitlin her flowers. Both are in effect incorrect. JuJu neither called her out nor lavished praise. She simply offered acknowledgement. But media outlets know that headlines attract clicks. And no headline sells better than one featuring Caitlin Clark. That demonstrates the power of her name. If JuJu had made the same remark about another player, it likely would not have caused a stir. But because Caitlin was the subject, it became a major event. Now for the other side, the WNBA is monitoring this situation very carefully. You can be certain that league executives and marketing departments are already planning for the future. They recognize that Caitlin vs. JuJu will be the next major story once JuJu is drafted. They will leverage that to promote games, sell tickets, and boost viewership. That is the business aspect, and it benefits both athletes, because regardless of the narrative, both JuJu and Caitlin embody what the league urgently requires: stars who generate buzz. Let's be frank, without personalities of their caliber, most casual viewers would not be tuning into women's basketball. So when JuJu was candid, what she actually did was add energy to the ongoing discussion, and that discussion draws more attention to the sport. Let's now delve a bit more into JuJu's perspective, because that is where the core of this story lies. She is young, only just graduated from high school. She has already been compared to icons. She has a Nike deal. She is recovering from a significant injury. And amidst all of that, she maintains a calm, grounded, and focused demeanor. That is not by chance. That is discipline. It also demonstrates that JuJu's understanding of the game extends beyond the court. She is aware that how you present yourself in interviews is as crucial as how you perform. Every word can influence your personal brand. So her comment about Caitlin's clutch ability was not an insult. It was a signal to everyone that she learns from the best. That is the mark of a true competitor. Now let's reverse the scenario. If Caitlin Clark was posed the same question, is it likely she would mention JuJu? The answer is probably yes, because Caitlin has consistently acknowledged emerging talent. She is fiercely competitive, but not malicious. That is the quality that both of these women embody, a quiet confidence supported by immense skill. So, if anything, this viral moment underscores the evolution of the women's game. Players can be rivals and still maintain mutual respect. They don't have to feign friendship or manufacture conflict. But the internet will always be the internet. Some fans posted things like, JuJu just put Caitlin on notice. She sounded like she thinks she's already superior. This marks the beginning of a new rivalry. But it's clear JuJu is not in that headspace. She is concentrated on her recovery, on returning to full strength, and on demonstrating that she ranks among the elite not through words but through her performance. And that is where things get compelling. Once JuJu is fully healthy and dominating on the court again, all these discussions will gain new weight. Every single comparison, headline, and viral video, they will all resurface when she and Caitlin finally share the same court, and believe me, that day is not far off. So that's the story. JuJu Watkins was direct, but she had every right to be. She spoke her mind and the message was received across the board. Was it a slight? Was it confidence? I'll let you decide. Share your opinions below. Click the like button and be sure to subscribe for more coverage of women's basketball's biggest star.